And the federal relief and assistance that we have been providing has included FEMA providing $750 for folks who need immediate needs being met, such as food, baby formula, and the like. And you can apply now for anyone who's watching this who has been affected.
FEMA providing $750 for folks who need immediate needs being met.
Oh my God.
Help me!
Hush up, boy.
Hello, my little piggies, and welcome back to the Chan Chan. We got a couple of videos in a row here for you, and all of them involve the House Oversight Committee just absolutely frying former FEMA Administrator Deanna Creswell. I mean, this woman left a lot of people hanging during the recent crises, Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Milton. People are saying that all of the FEMA response money went to all of the immigrants coming across the border and getting flown all over the country. So we're going to start off with Florida Republican Representative Byron Donalds. He's going to question Creswell about the agency's response during Helene and Milton. And believe me, he does not hold back here at all. This woman she's pretty much a liar. She's a traitor. I mean, at one point she's like, well, we have investigated ourselves and we have found ourselves to be totally fine and in the clear. Like, unbelievable. I mean, just because you hide the things you're doing by saying it's not in our policy or official practice doesn't mean that it isn't actually practiced. And I gotta tell you, I love Donalds. I love hearing him speak. I'm impressed every single time. But the really sad thing here is they are making disaster relief political. I mean, it should have nothing to do with who you voted for, if you've given any money to a certain party. I mean, Democrats have made helping people in times of crisis a political point, a thing to punish people for if they disagree with you. And as far as I'm concerned, this proves exactly why disaster relief in both Florida and in Appalachia was woefully inadequate. But let's check out Donalds here, absolutely ripping it apart. Ms. Creswell here.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Donalds from Florida.
Thank you, Chairman. Administrator Creswell, it's good to see you.
Now, there does appear to be some sort of slight clipping and popping throughout the entire clip. I went in, I checked. It is the source file, so I'm very sorry, but I appreciate your patience with us here, guys.
My district was hit by Hurricane Ian 2 years ago. So we were devastated, like so many other communities were devastated by Helene and by Hurricane Milton. My question for you actually surrounds the firing of Miss Washington. She had given multiple interviews where she claimed that avoiding politically hostile homes is commonplace throughout FEMA. Is this a practice at FEMA?
Congressman, there is nothing in any of our policies, our training, or our information sent out to our field workers to avoid any home for whatever reason, especially not because of a political affiliation. The actions of this one individual are not representative of the work that we do at FEMA.
Now, Administrator, I got an issue because, and I will submit the article for the record, according to a New York Post article titled, "This is not isolated." There is a FEMA official who spoke under the condition of anonymity who says that the agency's practice of skipping Trump-supported houses or avoiding white or conservative-dominated disaster zones altogether is an open secret at the agency and has been going on for years. So, Ambassador, this is a statement given to the Post by an employee at FEMA. What is your response to that statement?
Wow. So if that's even slightly true, how disgusting is that? On top of the fact that liberals and Democrats love to stand on their soapbox and talk about how virtuous they are and how they love everybody and how right-wing people and Christians and white males were all so fucking evil and selfish, and then you find out stuff like this. If even the smallest amount of this is true, it's absolutely disgusting.
We have investigated this incident, and it is still under investigation. We are working with the Inspector General to determine whether or not this is broader than this, but the evidence that I have seen so far shows that this was an isolated incident and it has not gone beyond what this one employee did.
So, follow-up question to that. Has FEMA finished its investigation into this matter?
No, we have not finished our investigation. We have been working with the Office of the Inspector General. It was also referred to the Office of Special Counsel for a potential violation of the Hatch Act, and I have asked the Inspector General to do a full review of this incident.
So, Administrator Creswell, you told me at the beginning of this questioning that there is nothing in your policies that would dictate that this is to occur, yet you have one official who was fired who said it does occur. You have another official under your purview, under the condition of anonymity, talking to the press that it does occur, but you can't verify to this committee that these practices do or do not occur. Is that correct?
I have been given no evidence and seen no indication that this goes beyond this one incident. If you have specific information, I would welcome that.
Are you prepared to turn over the communiques between your supervisors and their field representatives and upper-level management at FEMA to this committee?
We always cooperate with Congress on the information that they request, and we will continue to cooperate throughout this.
So you're prepared to turn over all those
We
communications?
are prepared to support requests for information to help support the ongoing investigation into this.
Chairman, I would move that it's clear that the administrator is more than prepared to share all communications with the Oversight Committee about various communications with field volunteers, volunteer staff on the ground, supervisors at FEMA headquarters here in Washington, D.C.
I would be very surprised if that actually happens. These oversight committees are basically neutered. They can't really do much to these people. And the people love to just lie in their responses or give placations like, oh, I'm sure we can get those communiques to you, or I'm not privy to that information at the moment, but I'm sure we can follow up on that later, and insert the Charlie Brown teacher here.
Oh, good grief. Yes, ma'am?
There you go. What a bunch of crap. She's probably lying. But if they do get a hold of all of these, all of these communiques between the lowest level people up to the top level people, if any of these shenanigans are happening, we're going to find out about it.
Also, for the record, Chairman, I move that the article that I talked about, this is not an isolated incident, be submitted for the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
Administrator, I want to follow up with one point. It was said later in this article, FEMA employees are trained to deal with threats in disasters. And I think it's important for the committee to understand that when you're on the ground dealing with threats, especially in a disaster area, it is important. Administrator, do you think it's a better course of action for law enforcement to be involved when potential threats occur on the ground? Because during Hurricane Ian, we understood that you not only had citizens who were trying to protect their homes from looters, and they are concerned. You have looters who are actively trying to get at people's property in a disaster zone. But apparently it appears that you have employees, whether you know or not, who are trying to take matters into their own hands. So wouldn't it be a better course of action to involve law enforcement who is on the ground in a prolific manner? And it's not just local law enforcement. I know from personal experience, it is other law enforcement agencies that are on the ground in support to neighboring communities. Would you agree with that?
Congressman, we have seen an increase in the amount of harassment during the response to Hurricanes Helene and Milton. We have been closely coordinating with law enforcement in all of the states that have been impacted, in particular in North Carolina, where we had several reports of harassment and potential threats to our employees.
Okay, fair enough. What I would also let the committee know, as somebody who's had to deal with this firsthand, it's important for citizens to understand that it's very difficult to go through the FEMA protocols. We have had many amount of citizens who applied for direct assistance, were denied, and they had to work through my office to do that. I'm quite sure my colleagues who have had to deal with FEMA have dealt with this firsthand. I would really call on FEMA, whether it's this administration or the next, that they need to clean this process up, because the number one thing that hurts FEMA's reputation is the fact that so many citizens are denied first time they come through the FEMA portal.
There you go. Absolutely disgusting. If any of that is true, then thank God Byron Donalds is on the case. But he's not the only one. Representative Lisa McClain from Michigan also questioned Creswell about allegations of misconduct in disaster relief. Let's see exactly what this lady is going to say.
There's been a pattern of discrimination, and I think from what I've listened to, you want to clean it up today, right? You don't approve of what happened. Neither side approves of what's happened. I mean, we've seen the weaponization of the Justice Department against President Trump, the Department of Education, investigate religious affiliated universities, the DOJ and FBI targeted parents at school board meetings, blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on and on, right? And I think we
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I'm pretty sure this lady's going to go on and on and on. But we're going to find out that she's in charge, quote unquote, but she doesn't know shit. She needs to be gotten rid of, and I believe she has at this point been gotten rid of. But people up in North Carolina were sleeping in tents when it was snowing. I mean, that's your government at work. This is not something this lady should be fired for, which she was. This is prison time. And perhaps while Trump is in power over the next few years, people like Deanna Creswell and others who have been complacent in some of the nefarious shenanigans that our government has been up to over the last little while, perhaps some of them need to pay the price. I mean, these are crimes against humanity in a crisis situation. This is why our legal system exists. Some of these people need to be arrested. Checks and balances. And if any proof of intentional conspiracy or intentional incompetence, like intentional malfeasance that you're going to claim as incompetence from these rogue agencies, then the hammer needs to come down for sure.
We all want to clean it up, right? Would you agree with that?
Discrimination should never be tolerated.
100%. Appreciate that. Now there's a confirmed discrimination against conservatives at FEMA, right? So I just want to put up this timeline to make sure I have everything correct, right? October 22nd, verbal guidance was given by Ms. Washington to skip over, for lack of better words, Trump homes. Anybody that has a Trump sign. October 24th, the whistleblower comes forward. October 27th, the team's message that we've seen was sent out. 28th of October, the complaint received by FEMA's legal staff. And October 8th, God bless you, this story became public. And then on November 9th, you became aware of it and terminated her position, correct?
I think we're missing one step in there, Congresswoman. I was made aware of it on November 7th.
November 7th.
Is that, I can't see down below.
Yeah, it's not up here. November 7th. The story became public on the 8th and then on the 9th, right? I'm sure you had.
I was made aware of it on November 7th. I directed my team to get me additional information. They presented that to me on November 9th, which is when I directed the termination of the employee.
Thank you. Did Ms. Washington receive a severance package?
I would have to check. I don't know.
When could you get back to us? So you have no idea?
I do not know what the terms of her termination were.
Who would?
I would have to check with my mission support team.
Your mission support team. Okay. So who gave Ms. Washington the authority to give the verbal guidance?
I do not know what motivated Ms. Washington to give that guidance. The direction that she gave was unacceptable and did not align with the way we conduct our business to help the American people.
What was her title?
Oh, yeah, that sure sounds good. This was not intentional. It's under investigation. Oh, yeah, and what are you doing? Well, it's under investigation, under investigation. We'll investigate until this blows over and then continue to do business as usual. So this Miss Washington, who's now been fired and gave the go-ahead to skip Trump signs, why is she not in Congress? Why is she not sitting across from this lady sitting beside Ms. Creswell answering the questions about why this kind of stuff happened? Like, thank God Vivek and Elon are coming in. Department of Education, FEMA, let's get rid of this banana republic and all of this wasted time and money and all of these small people making big decisions that affect everybody. You ever heard of Dunning-Kruger syndrome? I tell you, the smallest, most insecure people are the ones who, when they're put in charge, just love to spread their wings and show what an absolute schmuck of a human being they are.
Title.
Crew lead.
Crew lead. And how many crew leads did you have?
We had several crew leads. I'd have to get back to you with a specific number, but it's one of the lowest levels of supervision we have.
So Ms. Washington had a supervisor.
Correct.
And maybe even a supervisor above that supervisor.
Correct.
Right? There may be layers upon layers. Okay. Why do you think she felt empowered to give that guidance?
I can't speak to what motivated her to give that guidance. What I can say is I was made aware of this on November 7th. It was not.
Yes, meine Führer. The SS knows nothing about the movements of Miss Washington. of why she was given the authority to make these movements, but we are investigating, and the SS will get to the bottom of this so that the public feels safe, and honesty and transparency is all that matters, my friend. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Not acceptable behavior. When I was given the written evidence of her direction on November 9th, we directed her termination.
Who is her supervisor?
I don't know specifically who her supervisor is. I know that there's this individual, Chad, that has in her supervisory chain, but I don't know if that was her specific supervisor.
Oh, yes, we do not know who is in charge, but we will get to the bottom of it. We swear.
Have you done an investigation on this since November 9th?
We are currently doing an investigation. It started on October 28th.
So as of
when it was
October
referred to the Office of
28th,
Special
we've
Counsel.
done a bunch of investigations, but we have no idea who her supervisor is.
No, I said I personally do not know who her specific supervisor is. I have an agency of over 22,000 employees. I don't know the
And you have
supervisors of
supervisors
everyone.
underneath you. Do you know if anything happened to her supervisor?
This is currently under investigation. The only written evidence we had is from Ms. Washington.
Wow. Wow, what a bloated beast. No idea what's going on around here in her own. She's got, what, 22,000 employees? Doesn't know exactly who is in charge of who and blah, blah, blah. Like, shh. I don't know what's going on with the sound here. A lot of clipping and whatnot, so kind of was irritating me. I'm sorry about that, guys. Hopefully we can get to the bottom of it. It seemed like it was more than one video. Watch it be my setup here. But hey, at least I'm not screwing up as bad as the U.S. government, and I'm honest. I'm being transparent. This is probably my fault. We'll get to the bottom of it, but I got a Lauren Boebert video here. She is also going to crush Miss Creswell. We got some Creswell crushing all day long here. God. That really irritated me to think that they are screwing people over just because of what might be on their lawn. You can go put a Trump sign on someone's lawn and screw them over if you knew about this stuff ahead of time. But hey, we'll be back in another video. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.